Vikings fans, if you're excited about that win on Thursday Night Football, I want you to hit that sub. We do subs for Vikings dubs around here. Let's get to 2K subs. We're only 337 more. Before we get into today's show, hey, hit that big red button. Coming up here on today's show, I'm going to give you a quick recap of the Vikings and Steelers Thursday Night Football game. I'm going to give you the 5 biggest winners and losers for Minnesota, and then the playoff picture and who to root for the rest of the week. Let's look at this game here. I don't know how y'all have any fingernails left being a Vikings fan for the entire season, but another one that just came down to the absolute wire. Pittsburgh really rallied, but Minnesota was able to come out on top with a 36-28 win. I was impressed by Big Ben in the second half. He was 28 of 40, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns. Najee Harris on the ground had 20 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown. And then the leading receiver, Chase Claypool, but we'll talk about the corners from Minnesota because that was a rough performance. Now, I'm going to make you guys go back to school here, okay? And if you're already in school, if you're still there, well, don't worry. It's going to get better. A, B, C, D, or F, let me know down in the comments section. I'll be honest, I wasn't a school kid. But, hey, here I am making videos, right? So, seriously, grade the Vikings' performance up against the Pittsburgh Steelers because this game, it was an A+ in the first half, and it was probably a D in the second half. But you guys are probably used to that a little bit. In terms of the overall offensive performance for the Vikings, they had total yards 458, also only 13 drives, which I actually thought was kind of impressive. Passing yards 216, 242 yards on the ground. Don't worry, we're going to talk about Dalvin Cook quite a bit. Hopefully his shoulder's feeling okay this morning. Turnovers 2, time of possession. They barely squeaked out the time of possession, but that was more to do with the second half. What about the Steelers offense up against the Vikings? 375 total yards, 269 passing yards. Kind of nice. Rushing yards, 106, 1 turnover, and then the red zone, 3 of 4. The only time Pittsburgh did not convert in the red zone was that final play of the game where Big Ben, I thought he hit Pat Freiermuth for a touchdown, but what a hell of a play by Harrison Smith being able to break it up. Now, this was the tale, right? Like, this was the story. I'll be honest, I went to bed a little early last night. When I went to bed, it was 23-0 Minnesota. I'm like, all right, this game's over. I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm going to rewatch the game, rewatch the film for this video. Third quarter, 7, 21 points in the fourth quarter for Pittsburgh. I mean, the Vikings defense, the Vikings team would be so much better. Heck, they might have 10 wins if they could learn how to close out games a little bit better, and they tried their hardest to almost throw this one away. Another area of major improvement, and this one falls on Mike Zimmer and the entire staff. You had 11 penalties for 102 yards. Not that the Steelers are a bad team, but their offense definitely struggles, and the fact that you had such a big lead, if you wouldn't have been able to work out that big lead, these penalties I really think would have came and bite you in the ass. Now, I don't know about y'all, but Minnesota, it is freaking cold up there. I got a lot of family actually from Minnesota. So head on over to chatsports.com/Vikings hoodie where you can get one of these bad boys 50% off. Usually they're $70, but because it's the holidays and because we got the plug, head on over to chatsports.com/Vikings hoodie. That link is going to be available in the comments and in the description. It's really like $34.99. That's a hell of a steal for that hoodie. All right, coming up now, y'all, we're going to get into my 5 biggest winners and losers up against Pittsburgh. We're going to go 5-1. 5 is the 5th biggest. 1 is basically the MVP of today's game. Major shout out to Eric Kendricks. Led the team with 11 tackles. He had a sack, 2 tackles for a loss, and a quarterback hit. He continues to be the main focal point in terms of being able to get to the football on the defensive side. Let's go to number 4 here. I got Harrison Smith, safety. The reason why he's on here is not only does he fly around the football field, that major play at the end of the game, and it's actually kind of the picture, you guys can see it in the background here, of Smith punching out that ball to the tight end Freiermuth, which I'm telling you, Freiermuth had it. Smith didn't go for the ball, was really smart, just threw his hand, punched it, and he also had 5 tackles, a sack, tackle for loss, and that big-time pass breakup. Let's go to number 3 here on my list, Justin Jefferson, the wide receiver. He had 15 targets. Anytime you're getting 15 targets in a game, but you only had 7 catches, 79, might not be a good thing. but I was impressed by Jefferson's overall ability. Found the end zone. Another guy that I do want to give a major shout out to because I didn't know if I should give it to Jefferson or KJ Osborn. 3 grabs, 83 yards. He did have 9 targets, so hopefully, you can get that connection with Kirk Cousins, but I think that's a little bit more of Kirk Cousins. 1 touchdown, and then that deep ball of 62 yards to the house. So out of those 2 receivers right there, Jefferson and Osborn, who do you think had the better game? If you think Justin Jefferson was the better player, I want you to go ahead and type J for Jefferson. Or if you think it was KJ Osborn, I want you to go ahead and type K. My number 2 winner here up against the Steelers was the Minnesota offensive line. I mean, you heard Dalvin Cook in the press game, end of the game recap, whatever he was talking to the announcers or the sideline reporter, that's the word I'm looking for. He just could not speak more positive vibes about that O-line, and the holes that they were opening up were really, really impressive. Plus, Kirk Cousins, he wasn't sacked the entire game. But coming in at number 1, no surprise here. I mean, Dalvin Cook. What an incredible story this was. I mean, you didn't even know if he was going to play. He looks at the coaches before the game, and he even said it himself. Well, they've been able to build that relationship where if he says, hey, I'm good to go and I want to play, he's going to play. Why? He's one of the best running backs in all of football. He had 27 carries for 205 yards. He averaged 7.6 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. He also had a catch for 17. I mean, the fact that he was able to do this with one shoulder, basically, it's just really, really impressive to me. And I went back, I looked at Tom. He was talking about the Vikings going into this game. Tom said he doesn't even know if Dalvin's going to play. Well, I'll tell you what, the MVP of this game is Dalvin Cook. But if you disagree with me, it's all good. That's what makes Chat Sports a little bit different. Not only do we do recaps, not only do we keep you up to date, news and rumors, another reason to subscribe, but we like that interaction. So if you don't think Dalvin Cook was the MVP, I might think you're a little bit crazy and, it might be a little bit too early to be drinking. But it's all good. Name the Vikings MVP up against the Steelers. When you have winners, that also means you have losers. Again, we're going to do the exact same thing, work our way 5 all the way down to 1. Patrick Peterson, cornerback. The corners did not play very well in this game. He gave up a touchdown. Coming in here at number 4, Ali Odu, and he's been probably the, major weakness at the left tackle position. Sure, they didn't give up any sacks, but there was some pressure there. Overall PFF grade also, again, under 50. Coming in here at number 3, Kirk Cousins, the quarterback. I just wanted to see a little bit more, and sure, when the lights go or when it's dark outside, you see this version of Cousins, and I don't know if it's just he truly believes it at this point, but when it's daylight, 12 o'clock game, Kirk Cousins is elite. When it's nighttime game, it's scary to watch. 14 of 31, 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So even though he was the quarterback and even though they came out with a win, we're going to kind of do this style of a scale from 0 to 100. I want you to rate Cousins' game up against the Steelers. I made him a loser. I'm probably going to give him a 60. Now, I'm a little bit harder of a grader because I think school nowadays, if it's 70, it's a fail, but that's not how I go. I'm going to go 60, but you guys let me know. Rate Captain Kirk. Coming in here at number 2, it's the coaching staff. You were up 23-0. All NFL, all media people, heck, even your own fan base, all they ever talk about is the Vikings can't close out games. And you almost blew another one. I mean, it was 11 yards short. It was a punch out by Harrison Smith because I really think if that game would have went into overtime, the way the mojo was going, I really truly believe the Steelers would have won. So Mike Zimmer, wake the hell up. But you guys know the Mike Zimmer rumors at this point. Coming in here at number 1, the biggest loser was Bashaud Breeland. But Mitch, he had an interception. How can he be a loser? When you're targeted 9 times and you give up 7 catches for 102 yards and a touchdown, that makes you a loser. Watch the game film. Watch the third quarter. Watch the fourth quarter. All Pittsburgh started to do was like, all right, where's Breeland? Cool. That's the guy we're going to target. That's the guy that we can't, he can't stop anybody right now. The biggest loser in this game was Breeland. Now what we're going to be getting into, y'all, is because after that win, I'm sure a lot of Vikings fans are like, well, where do we sit right now? What is the playoff picture looking at? I'll tell you the playoff picture, and I'm going to tell you who you guys should be rooting for going into this week. So here's the updated look at the NFC playoff picture. You can see Minnesota sitting there at 6-7, and actually they are the 8 seed because they have a tie break over the Philadelphia Eagles. So if the San Francisco 49ers lose, 49ers do still have the tiebreak over Minnesota, but Washington, they might be able to drop a game to the Dallas Cowboys. All I'm saying is you at least have a chance. Now, in terms of who you guys should root for, you should root for the Cowboys up against the Washington football team. By the way, the logo that you see on screen is the team that I think y'all should be rooting for. Jets going up against the Saints. The Panthers up against the Falcons. You should root for the Panthers because they both have a 5-7 record, but Minnesota has the tiebreaker over Carolina. Bengals up against the 49ers, and then the Arizona Cardinals up against the Rams because the Rams don't have that easy of a schedule, and if they lose a few games, who knows? You might have an equal tiebreaker there up against Los Angeles. Now, here's going to be my final question after seeing the updated playoff picture. That's the word I was looking for. Who to root for? Will Minnesota make the playoffs? I want you to scroll on down to the comment section and type Y for yes, or I want you to go ahead and type N for no. In terms of how they're going to be able to just round out the schedule, if Minnesota wins out, they're in. I think they take care of business up against the Bears, even though it's a primetime game, and Cousins definitely scares me in primetime. If you take care of business up against the Rams, and if you can beat the Packers, again, you are in the playoffs. Realistically, though, you got to win 3 out of your next 4 games if you want to control your own destiny. One more time, will they make the playoffs? Yes or no?